Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from the beautiful metaverse, and more specifically from beautiful Danville, Illinois. And this is Midday with Reverend Don. And I hope that you're having a lovely day. It's the beginning of a new week and lots of interesting things going on. Um, as you know, if you follow Midday with Reverend Don, you can type your question or comment on whatever platform you happen to be watching on. It will appear here in my chat room, and we can talk directly. Um, I enjoy that feature of this broadcast very much. And today, my subject is self care, and particularly in a spiritual context. And hello to Tom in the chat room. It's good to see you, Tom. And Tom says, Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Tom. Happy Mondays are always the best Mondays. I have a number of things to say about self-care, and a number of reasons brought me to this subject today. One of them is we have freezing rain here in Danville. And that, among other things, means there is no way I'm leaving the house today. As a younger person, I might have felt that I needed to. Hello to Renee in the chat room. Good to see you, Renee. But I certainly am not going to do so now. And that, to me, is an act of self-care. We have some news that we're going to be talking about in a moment that is also an act of self-care. And I guess I'll go straight to that. Oh, and hello to Diane in the chat room. And no, I'm not doing readings on this program. But you can tune into Tarot Thursday on Thursday here on Pagan World TV and absolutely get a reading at that time. And hello to Christine Higginbotham. Or if you would like to hire a reading, you can contact me at donlewishp@aol.com and we can set one up. Today, we have announced a new executive director for Corellian Publishing, Chris Copeland. And this is, I think, a wonderful step forward. I have high hopes for the future of Corellian Publishing. And I think Chris is going to be doing a wonderful job. And she's going to be coming on the show on Wednesday to talk to us about her plans for the future of Corellian Publishing. We have a lot of things in the pipeline, so to speak. We have a lot of things coming. And for me, this is an act of self-care also, because it's help that was very much needed. And I think that it's going to be very good. And Tom says that they're having a heat wave in Pennsylvania right now at 36 degrees. Yeah, it's 31 degrees here, which is a heat wave compared to what we have been, but unfortunately still under freezing, hence the freezing rain. But the rest of this week looks like it's going to be pretty good, and I'm certainly looking forward to that. As I say, this change in Corellian Publishing, I think, is going to have a very good effect on Corellian Publishing moving forward, particularly in terms of getting everything moving. And hello to Lynn in the chat room. It's good to see you, Lynn. As you know, this last year I've dealt with a number of health issues, and it just has become a bit much for me to manage. So this is an act of self-care for me, and also for Corellian Publishing itself. And hello to Janet in the chat room. And Janet says, we have freezing rain coming in Ohio later tonight. Oh, my condolences. And hope I make it home from work before it starts. I hope that you do too. I've been reading lately at the Earth Spirit Emporium here in Danville. I see that they've posted that they're going to be closing early today for this same reason, so that they can get home safely. And I think that self-care is something that we often just don't think about. In speaking about the new executive director for CorellianPublishing.com, um, and I refer to this as being in part an act of self-care for me, but I could have gotten caught in my ego and refused to let go of that position, um, which would have been a totally bad idea. But I realized this is a great improvement all the way around, and it's an improvement for me in my own life. Um, this last year, I've let go of a number of things that I was formerly doing as an act of self-care. Um, and spiritual people, I find, are not very good with self-care. I certainly was not. Um, for me, it was all about the organization, all about the mission, all about the people, all about trying to work for everything and everyone else. And yes, I was getting my joy from that, but certainly not self-care. And as I look at the future of my life, I want to pay more attention to self-care. Part of that means more people doing these jobs, um, more people involved in these projects, more people doing things to benefit all those things I just mentioned, to benefit the tradition, to benefit Corellian publishing, to benefit the people, to benefit the community. Um, but it doesn't doesn't require uh, necessarily for me to be doing all of it. And of course, it never did. But I think like a lot of people, particularly a lot of spiritual people, um, I always had that attitude that I must get in here and do this. And there is a saying which I think is very accurate, um, that if you don't take care of yourself, eventually you won't be able to take care of other people. As spiritual people, we usually are trying to take care of other people. I've certainly done that my whole life. And I came to the point this last year that um, Spirit made very clear to me I had a choice of stopping and taking some care of myself or not being here much longer. And I have made the choice to take care of myself, to divide many of the things I used to do myself among many highly qualified people, and I'm feeling very good about that. I don't know how I'd have felt about that when I was younger. I should have certainly done it years before. I was trying, but when you so often you look at a situation, and it can be very hard when you know that you can step in and do it, not to step in and do it. Now, Christine, hello, Christine. It's good to see you. Christine says, making a conscious contact with my higher power helps me. This program at noon helps me make that contact, and I thank you. Thank you, Christine. That is very gratifying. I'm very glad that's true. Um, and in doing this program, that really is one of the things that um, makes me feel like it's all worthwhile. And I think I'm finding that it's doing the same for me, that it's helping to keep me connected, helping to keep me focused. Um, and today, one of the things that's helping to keep me focused on is self-care. Now, when we talk as spiritual people about self-care, we're not necessarily talking about what just anyone would be talking about. We're talking about spiritual techniques, um, as well as just taking necessary rest, um, and um, not overburdening ourselves in our daily life, but we're also talking about keeping our energy clean, keeping our energy recharged. Um, in the various books I've written, we talk a great deal about psychic hygiene. We talk about how to cleanse your energy, how to refresh your energy. Um, and these are all aspects of self-care too. We talk, and I think if I remember correctly, we recently demonstrated how to repair holes in your aura, um, to better maintain your energy. All very important things, but I can tell you, as you go through life, sometimes you forget. You get so busy doing the things you're doing that you forget to do the things you need to do for yourself. And in this moment, I would like to encourage all of you not to do that, to remember the things you need to do for yourself, for your own health, for your own healing. And, sometimes that means there are things you would love to be doing, but you really can't because it's just too much. And that's okay. And other people can help. Um, Another thing that's very important to us as spiritual people in our self care is shadow work. We talk a lot about shadow work. I talk a lot about shadow work, and I often have people ask me, what exactly is shadow work? And of course, I've spoken to this many times, but I'm going to speak to it again. The shadow is the part of yourself that is not immediately visible to your conscious mind. And it includes all sorts of energy blockages, often from past lives, sometimes from this life. It includes expectations you may not be conscious of, belief systems you may not be conscious of, sometimes fears you're not conscious of. And this is why it's important to work with it consciously, to find what is there, and to bring healing and integration to those things. Now, that doesn't mean we send them away. It means we heal and we integrate them. And Christine says, grounding myself many times through the day is so necessary for me. And being conscious of my breathing multiple times a day, it's so simple, but easy to get caught up. Notes to breathe and ground help me. That's wonderful. And I constantly write notes to myself. Here on my desk, I've got all kinds of them. I highly recommend writing notes. Also, sometimes on the telephone, I send myself a text to remind myself of what I might not otherwise remember. And the idea of making the notes to remind yourself to take care of yourself, that's good. That's very good. And I think we should all be doing that to some extent. Um, in my experience, it's relatively few people who pay anywhere near enough attention to self care. And heaven knows that I historically have no room to talk about that, except in the sense that I have learned by not giving it enough attention why it's important to give it attention. And um, I think this is one of the things that happens to many of us as we grow older. Because, when we're young, we often feel like we can do anything, and sometimes we almost can. But that doesn't mean we necessarily should. I mean, I've been known to work around the clock. I've been known to when I was young, I would sometimes work for 48 or more hours in a row. I found that if I made it past the 20th hour, I got a second wind that would continue until I was ready to stop, usually around that amount of time. I can't imagine doing that now, nor would I consider it a wise thing to do. But when I was 17 or 18, I thought nothing of it. Um, but we need to remember that we are people. Yes, we are a spiritual being having a physical existence, but that physical existence is very important. And we cannot expect the physical being to be capable of everything the spiritual being is necessarily capable of. And sometimes I think we forget that. I watch my son in his life um, also pursuing these very long, very, very arduous days on the premise that he can do anything. But he's young enough that he can. I've seen many other people do it. My late wife was that sort of person. But having reached this age, I think my advice is take it easy. Yes, of course, there are things you have to do, but when you come to that point that you find your health is giving out, in part because of how hard you have pushed yourself, you may wish you had taken it easier, and I think it's wise to do that in the first place. Certainly attend to everything you need to attend to, but attend to yourself as well. Um, I can't say that I exactly regret my decisions of the past. I don't. I enjoyed the trip. Um, but if I could go back and do certain things again, um, I might not always push as hard um, in every given moment as I did. I might take more time to make sure that my body was doing all right. And I was always someone who would power through things, and sometimes I really shouldn't have. I often I often cite myself as being a grinder. That I will continue working um, through thick and thin to make sure things get done, and that has not changed. It's not going to change, but the extent of it, I think, is better to change a little bit. And that brings us back to Corellian Publishing and its new executive director, who I'm expecting wonderful things from. And again, on Wednesday, we'll be talking to Chris and about the future of Corellian Publishing and things that it's going to be doing. And as you know, we do plenty of things right now. And if you're following the Daily Spell, you'll see that we've been each day talking about a different book that we have at Corellian Publishing. Um, we have more books in process. The one that's most in process at this moment is Reverend Don's Book of Astrology. But when I set the ETA for that book, I was wise, and I set it for the spring equinox. Um, a few years ago, I would have tried to rush it faster. Um, but, I realize now it's better to take the time um, to do it at a reasonable pace. We just brought out 40 Spells to Better Magic, a wonderful book. We have Travel Magic, another wonderful book. We have our degree lessons. We have Ritual and Theory and Practice. We have the Common Book of Witchcraft and Wicca. We have the Great Ladies of Antiquity coloring book. We have all kinds of books and some videos at CorellianPublishing.com. And if you've not gone there recently, I'd say go check it out. Uh, there are lots of cool things there and more coming. And when I look back on my life, I'm very proud of all the things that I did. I've often been talking. I was in an interview that aired just last night, talking about things I did back in the '80s. Um, I did gigantic amounts of artwork, and I'm very glad I did that. Um, and I certainly don't wish that I had done less. But as I get older, I am mindful of that need to take care of myself in a way that I didn't think of when I was younger. And for those of you who are younger, this is my message to you. Start taking care of yourself now. There's a famous poem in which a lady says that the author says that when I am old, I shall wear purple and a red hat that doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And she goes on to talk about all the ways she will behave um, in ways that society finds unacceptable when she's old. But toward the end, she says, well, maybe I should start practicing now. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Don't wait for nature to tell you need to slow down, to tell you need to take time for yourself, but start doing it now, energetically, and also in terms of doing the things you love. I can remember many times over the years people asking me what I did for fun. What I did for fun was work. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But, if they were asking me, well, what else do you do? There was nothing else, uh, by and large. And um, in the future, that will be different. there are many things that, and there are certain things already that I do um, in this line. I am engaging in much more consumption of entertainment than formerly. Um, I've always focused on producing rather than consuming. Um, but I'm consuming a little more than previously. I'm enjoying my life more as an individual rather than uh, as a person in a particular position. And I guess that is my main message regarding self-care. And again, spiritual people, regardless of their position, are often really bad at self-care because they're all so often concerned with taking care of everyone else. And that's a wonderful thing if you're also taking care of yourself. But if you don't take care of yourself, in the end, you won't be able to take care of anyone. Um, and there are so many problems in the world that while you may wish to address all of them, you can't. That's why we have reincarnation. We can't deal with all of them in one lifetime. Um, it's a reason we have reincarnation. And we need to, and hello to Jason in the chat room. It's good to see you, Jason. Um, Speaking of freezing rain, Jason had an adventure with the freezing rain this morning, um, but he came out of it victorious. Um, and, I actually am not finding my return to the central Illinois winter to be particularly bad. But the ice is always the thing that I worry about. And I've talked before about how ice storms, when they occur, are very, very beautiful um, and something I try desperately to avoid. And that too is an aspect of self-care. Um, and Jason says, yeah, I busted my nose. Yes, he did. Um, it Jason was saying he had put salt down on the stairs and the sidewalk, and but didn't think to put it on the road, and that's where it happened. Um, and of course, no matter what you do, there are always going to be things that happen. But if you take care of yourself, that also is serving the world. Spiritual people are often very concerned with service, but taking care of yourself is also service. And though I've been referring to myself very much in this monologue, I'm really talking to you um, and asking you to take good care of yourself. At this point in life, I am taking good care of myself, and I'm not overworking as much as I once did. Um, and all those things will still be there a couple of hours from now, a day from now. You don't have to do everything all at once, and you also don't have to do everything. And so I recommend to you to look at your life, ask yourself what gives you joy, and put more emphasis on that. And ask yourself what you do to serve the world, to help others, and continue doing that, but not to the exclusion of taking care of yourself. And make sure, the old saying is to smell the roses on the side of the road. And that really is a very good way of putting it. Make sure that you are stopping to enjoy your life, not just charging through it like a tank. And I remember, and I so often talked about the film The Adding Machine. And The Adding Machine is a story of reincarnation. If you've never seen The Adding Machine, I highly recommend it as a metaphysical movie. But one of the things about it is that the main character is basically a workaholic who has totally invested himself in what he does, not only in life, but between lives. Um, and I don't exactly think that's bad. There's a time for everything. But that was there at the start of my life as a warning to remember to take care of myself. And I'm far more conscious of it now. And I hope you will be too. Now, once again, on Wednesday, we'll have Chris Copeland as our guest. We'll be talking about the future of Corellian publishing. And I hope that you'll join us for that. I will be back tomorrow. I love spending this time with you. Um, I will not be leaving this house today with the ice everywhere, but I'm hoping tomorrow will be better. We are supposed to have a heat wave compared to last week, with the temperatures getting up even into the 40s at certain points. So I'm looking forward to that and to perhaps leaving the house on those days. And I hope that wherever you are, you will stay warm if you're in the middle of our northern winter, and that you will stop and smell those roses. So thank you for joining me. I hope that you've enjoyed the program, and let us close with our prayer as we always do. Oh, and if you haven't listened to that interview from last night, you can find it on Pagan World Radio, and also on many of our Facebook pages and other platforms. And see what I had to say about um, the transition of Corellianism from a hereditary familial tradition to a public tradition, and the role that media played in that. Um, I think you would find it interesting. So thank you, everyone, and Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us in our lives, and we ask you to help us to be mindful of loving ourselves even as we love the world and even as we love others. Let us stop and smell those roses. Let us enjoy this wonderful life that we are in. And let us remember that we can have all the beauty that we are willing to accept in our lives. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you for all that you do for us and for always being there, for we know you're always there. But from respect, we thank you for your presence, and may you be blessed now and always. May you be blessed now and always. Thank you for your presence, and I'll see you tomorrow.